Hello, everyone. That's just a joke. If you're familiar with Agad Mator, Antonio's channel, that's his introduction. Also, it was on Gotham Chess. Also hilarious. You need to see it. Very funny. What you're seeing here is the preview intro for my 58 score, which is awesome in itself. But really, the thing that I was going for and achieved quite well, actually, was to make an ultimate guide for using Puzzle Rush survival mode to advance your chess rating faster than anything else you've ever seen. I lay out the method of using this to get better. And as an example, for those of you who hang around, you know this. I'm 60 years old. I'm playing the best chess of my life. You see it right here. These problems started here. The first one was 157. I worked my way up 56 in a row and got to 2946 before I made a slip up. Whoops, on a 3000 problem. Got to 3152, had that one and made a mistake. Another slip up. Whatever. So you're going to see problems at the end that are so difficult you've never seen those probably before. And if you have, you haven't seen very many. But the thing about it is, I am playing the best chess of my life at age 60, and I was already good. So I use this technique daily, and that's what you have to do. Do it daily. If you want to get good, stop goofing around, stop watching all the drama of whatever. That's fine. That doesn't help you get better. If you want to get better at chess, you got to cut off the garbage and go for the stuff that gets you better. There's nothing wrong with watching those great videos from Antonio. He explains all those things. He does such a great job. But do that in addition to your work, not in place of it. You don't get better just watching his videos because they're quite entertaining and they have a lot of good chess, but you're not forcing yourself to work. It's like if you wanted to get physically stronger, you would lift weights. You wouldn't watch someone lift weights. Now, you watch someone lift weights to learn the proper technique to advance your abilities faster, which is what Antonio does. What I do is lift weights. That's it. That's what I do. So you're seeing it here. The results speak for themselves. I squashed all the way up to 2946 without a mistake. First mistake was made at a 3000 problem. When you see someone else who has this, Hikaru, great. He's the best I've ever seen, no question. Well, you got someone doing this, that's fantastic. If they're teaching you how to do it, great, let them do it. I haven't seen anyone else doing it. You make your own decision. Those of you who follow this plan are going to kick the butt of those people who don't follow my plan. So that's fine. Whatever floats your boat. I enjoyed this. I know you guys will enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. Check it out and see what you think. Tell your friends. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye, everyone. Welcome, future masters. Today, I'm here to show you how you can use Puzzle Rush to make yourself stronger. And I mean stronger, a lot stronger, and faster than you might expect. It's going to take a little bit of extra stuff, no big deal. What you need to get is something to write with and a notebook if you have one specifically for Puzzle Rush. Just paper is fine. It doesn't really matter however you choose to do it. I'm giving you advice. You take it and tailor it for yourself and you'll be successful. The reason why we do this is in chess you learn to be a serious player. You have to write your moves when you play them. And trust me, it pays off in the end. For our first couple of weeks, it's tougher and it will impact your gameplay. You'll be not playing as well as you would normally, but you recover from this very quickly. And over time, this will be your friend. This helps you to study what you're doing. Another good thing I'll tell you is, it's another major rule, take your time. I'm one of the only players that will tell you blitz chess is bad for you. I have a video about it. go look at it yourself. It gives you a lot of bad habits. Now you see it's very popular on YouTube to watch blitz chess, and these great players are playing. You have to remember, they were great players before they were playing blitz. Okay, you don't get great playing blitz chess. Blitz chess is like eating Halloween candy. It's awesome, but if you eat the whole bag, you're going to have a problem and you're going to be sick. And blitz chess will make your chess sick. It teaches you the wrong things. It reinforces the wrong things of the game. Chess tournaments reward excellence of accuracy, not speed. So now let's go ahead and start, and we'll just continue adding tools to our bag as we go. So what we like to do, or what I personally do, is work on visualization. You want to visualize the moves you play before you play them. That way when you play them, you already know what's going to happen. Rook takes rook check. He has only one move, rook to g8, and we take it and checkmate him. Boom, you're dead. This is the Three Stooges checkmate. There's my buddy, Mo, Larry, and Curly. They prevent the king from escape. So the Three Stooges checkmate tells us automatically we're back rank mating this guy. Notice the rook guards d1, the queen guards e1, but nothing guards c1. So queen c1, rook goes here, queen takes rook check, queen to e1, queen takes e1 is checkmate. He can resign at any time though. I play in tournaments and people sometimes ask, well, did it bother you that guy did resign? No, I'm there to beat him. I don't care how I beat him. I'm in the butt-kicking business, and business is good. Same thing. Now, the special case of the Mo, Larry, and Curly Three Stooges, we only need two of them if the king's in the corner. Mo and Larry, Mo and Curly, Larry and Curly. We don't care. Again, queen defends c1. Rook defends f1. We can attack d1, not guarded by either. Checkmate. Simple stuff. Three Stooges. E8 guarded, B8 guarded. Does it guard A8? The answer is no, it's checkmate. Now this is a corner mating pattern with this bishop here on H3. And this gives you another special case of the Three Stooges. You're only going to need two because of where the bishop guards. We need Mo and Larry here. You say there is no Larry. Well, the bishop is doing the job. He's the Larry. Check him. We'll take it. And when we play rook takes rook, this rook gives you the Curly on f2. He blocks f2's escape. So you get the Three Stooges right here. Two of them are covered by black pieces. This is the corner mating pattern. Look at this rook and this bishop. This is absolute money. Train your eye to see this. This one is absolutely awesome. Checkmate. This is queen f2 check, queen d2 checkmate. Nothing he could do. Work on your visualization and every problem. The more you work on it, the better it gets. I have a video somewhere on my channel. Oh man, 15 moves long. I got the guy. It was a hard one. I'm not gonna lie to you. Now, a good question. What are we doing here? All right, first things, just take stock of your position. Queen is pinning this rook. This rook doesn't move, but it doesn't matter. We have a double attack here on g7. The rook still works in a checkmate because you would take the king off the board before he'd take your king. This is a double attack on g7 checkmate. This is a queen corner checkmate. This king lives in a 3x3 matrix. If we check him on the corner with the queen, and if the opposite side squares vertically and horizontally above and to the right of the king are blocked by his own guys or covered by your guys, this becomes what I call a queen corner checkmate. Okay, got a pin guy here. Man, this is sick. Now, again, you don't have to be fast. Fast just shows that you have mastered certain things. This is so fast. Bishop takes g2 check. if he moves the king, we get to go backwards. We have to move the bishop wherever we want, actually. Maybe we can go bishop to f1, I'm not sure. He can't take it, number one. Bishop takes. Rook cannot take because, well, he can. Good player says rook cannot take because he can take. It's going to cost him everything. If he plays rook takes, queen takes free rook check. Well, it's not horrible, actually, but it's not good. Got to be bishop takes pawn check. That's the first move that came to mind because you see this vicious attack. Blam, blam, I'm telling you. This is the classic bump and score. We're going to go queen takes f7, check, bump his king into the corner away from the defense of f8. Right now, rook and king, two defenders of f8. When he gets bumped, it becomes 1, and our queen and rook are 2 versus 1, and we're going to sacrifice the queen to checkmate him. So this is the traditional, the most basic of the bump and score. This is what I call, whoa, another bump and score. Queen takes rook, that's a mistake. Queen takes free queen, and he laughs all the way to the bank. So this brings up one of the other elements of being a good player and then also a really good player. The difference between being a good player and a really good player is that a really good player sees the mistake that can be made and avoids it. Same story, bump and score, 2 versus 1 in the back rank. Holy guacamole, this is a discovered checkmate. We move this bishop anywhere we want, but if we go here, it's checkmate. There's nothing stopping that rook. Goodbye. Bump and score, you see it. Bump, score. This should be already on the third one. You should be mastering this technique to the point where you're like, man, I'm awesome. Well, you may not be awesome yet, but you're working on it. This is what I call the self-sealing checkmate. Watch this. Put this queen right here. You see that? He cannot escape. Goodbye. Now, we can use the ladder technique. The ladder technique is moving the rooks. In this case, we're going to move them to control different ranks. We're going to keep the rook on the 4th rank at c4, but this other rook, we're going to move this guy over here to the 5th rank and use the ladder technique. It's like climbing a ladder rung by rung. This is actually checkmate after he interposes the rook. And now rook takes rook. This is a ladder checkmate. Uh-oh. One of my special designations that I invented. The moves I didn't invent, but I gave them names that no one else uses, and they're awesome because they make it easy to understand. This is the unblockable diagonal. Checkmate. And when I say unblockable, I mean effectively unblockable. If you stick something in there and we take it for free, that's the same as being unblockable. It didn't do anything. So, what I want to do is I would love to play rook to d7, but he's got 2 guardians, bishop and queen. So let's do removal of defender. Bishop takes bishop. And then queen takes bishop, rook d7, and he's toast. He just resigned. It was so bad. Again, queen corner checkmate. There's the king. I'm going to hit him on this corner. It's blocked here, 1 knight away from the corner and 1 knight away from the corner blocked. This is a checkmate. That is a queen corner checkmate. Okay, now again, we can use the standard ability of the ladder mate to force the king where we want. We can play rook on d1 to d5 check, forcing him to a4, and then finish him with rook takes a6. So let's do that here. Check. This is the ladder formation. And that's checkmate. Oh, brother. How about bishop checks, and that is mate. This is what I call the vacant fianchetto or the empty fianchetto tactic. There's no bishop on g2 as there should be. Goodbye. See this bishop? See this pinning this pawn? He cannot move this pawn. Well, if the pawn can't move, It can't capture my queen, can it? Checkmate. Oh, and the thing you should be writing down in these problems, I forgot to tell you, that's my fault. I want you to write these themes of these victories down to help you in the future when you come back to the list when you finish it, and if you could go back and fill in the ones that I forgot to tell you. Anyway, you could go back tomorrow and go, oh, empty fianchetto, yeah, that was where the bishop was missing. These things with this list, you would be able to next day to look back in your mind and go, I remember that. I remember this. You're going to remember almost all of them. Okay, so this is problem number 23. Now we have a killer move of bishop to f4, threatening checkmate. That is a threat that has to be addressed. It also forks this knight and forks a checkmate on h2. So bishop f4 is very strong because when we're done, he's going to play something like g3, defending. And we're just going to play bishop takes knight, which defends this d6 pawn, and this becomes an unstoppable defender of the d6 pawn. Really, there's nothing else to do. It's just that simple. Or it becomes that simple. Let's put it that way. Here, notice this king has very few moves. Like, he had to go to e8 on check because the rook was hanging. So let's check him. Queen to f1 check. He can't play, again, a good player says he can't do something because the penalty is high. He can't play king c2 because queen takes free rook check is going to be mating after the next move. So he has to go rook to e1, and then we hit him with a bishop unblockable diagonal again. Bishop to f3, it's awesome. Unblockable diagonal, that's a checkmate. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not a checkmate because this jerk is messing with this. So, okay, whatever. How do you like this? Unblockable vertical by the queen. He can block it, but it's going to cost him. Oh, that's a checkmate. Well, well, well. Now, if, for example, we had a rook here or a bishop that guarded this, we could play queen c2, and that'd be a queen corner checkmate. But we don't have that move. Not yet. What do we have? Well, that's a good question, isn't it? Man, if we could get this knight here. Oh, yeah, we can play knight to c6. Well, doesn't that just lose a rook? It does. Queen takes free rook. That's what my father would say. Well, I'm going to play knight to b4 check, and that's a checkmate. Notice this king has no moves. The key part here is the king is trapped. Now, you could even say, you could just call this a trapped king tactic, which would be very valuable. So I can play, literally, I could play knight a6 or knight to c6. He's got troubles here. But when I play knight c6, or even knight to a6, I'm threatening rook takes queen. Wah, wah. He can play knight, I play knight c6, he plays a3. I can't checkmate him, but I just take his queen. So we'll be glad to trade a rook, my rook in the corner for your king. Now the question is there a difference between knight a6? I don't know. I can't see a difference. There must be a difference. Knight a6 and knight c6 both look basically identical. Oh yes, there is a difference. The difference of knight a6 is no good because the knight on c6 stops queen to e5 check. And this is what I said. This is what separates the good from the really good. The good player sees that knight to a6 or c6 is going to be a checkmate with knight b4. The really good player recognizes knight c6 is the correct move because there is a queen to e5 check which keeps him alive. You're gone. Checkmate. This is how someone demonstrates their skill. Well, now we have an interesting idea. We could fork this guy with knight to e5, forking queen and bishop. This queen is awkwardly placed. Did he take a pawn? What a fool. You got to be careful when you see positions like this. Hey, look, queen takes free pawn. And then you can get away with this at the below 2000 level sometimes. But knight e5. Well, he's attacking the bishop. You can guard the bishop with, he can't play queen f3 because the knight guards f3. He can play queen e4 and he's safe. But we have a move here called bishop to f5. Uh-oh. He's going to have to play queen e2. Is that going to work? That's a good question. Well, that is a good question, sir. Queen to e2. Let's see, knight e5, queen e4. Ah, bishop to f5. Queen e2 is not possible because the rook guards this. He is in bad shape. Well, okay, not technically bad shape because he can play that. That's not very good. Yeah, queen e2 had other problems. I realized we could hit him with knight takes c4. The rook wasn't on him, but he didn't want to move into the direct fire of the rook. Okay, now here's a good question. This is where I'm going to teach you some mastery of king and pawn endgames. I'm going to teach you my dad's favorite rule, and his rule number one, the greatest rule in all of chess. And that is, what is he going to do to me? This guy, white, wants to play a6, a7, and queen. Now, the thing you have to understand is that when you're dealing with pawns queening, the advanced players understand the rule of the square. The pawn creates a square. In this case, count from the pawn. 1, 2, 3, 4. This white pawn has a square 4 by 4, and the king is inside of this virtual square that you see. That goes from a5 to d5 to d8 to a8. As long as the black king is in this square, he can stop this pawn. Don't worry about it. The thing is, the same thing holds true with the black pawn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This extends both sides, but since you really normally only hear it extending to the king area of the board. So let's extend this over here. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 1 is the pawn. 2, 3, 4, 5. He's technically outside of the square. So what happens if we play? There's only two moves you can make. It's either f4 or king to b8. Now, if you're not sure which one is the best move, analyze this yourself, pause the video, and then come back and I'll show you the difference. Okay, so if you've paused it, you're back now. Let's calculate what happens. If I go king to b8, he can play a6, and he's threatening to check me. But if he checks me, I'm just going to go in the corner. That's good, right? That is true. Is king to b8 the best move? It is not. If you play king to b8, white can draw the game. He cannot win it on his own. He can only win it if black makes a mistake. King b8, the move for white is king to c5, cutting this pawn off. He'll kill this pawn. The game will be a draw unless black falls asleep or something. The winning move is f4 because we're going to make the square 5 by 5 smaller. The king is out of the square. He's threatened now to cash. We cannot push because he'll play a7 or a king cannot close ground. So we must close the ground now. Yeah, I'm safe. Can't catch me. Usain Bolt can't catch me. You know you're in trouble when Usain Bolt can't catch you. Okay, this is another bump and score. We're going to use our... So the last problem, square of the pawn, is the key element. And it was a great problem because it gives you really basic versions that are easy to understand. So I'm going to hit him with queen e2 check, king c1 forced. I have a rule. When you're attacking the king in this manner, if he's got only one move, you're probably winning. King c1 is the only move. We're probably winning. And guess what? We are winning. Queen e2 check, king c1, queen e1 check. Rook takes queen, only move. King takes rook. That's a checkmate. I mean, so rook takes rook. That's a checkmate. Bump and score, baby. Okay, so now when we have bump and scores, I'm just going to do bump and score. I'm not even going to explain it anymore because you guys are too good for that. What the heck is this guy doing? Isn't queen takes free queen a free queen? Queen takes queen. And there's another good lesson here. Well, the good lesson was king e7 and bishop g5 check was the crusher. So, all right, white is now headed to the bottom of the board. We're playing the black pieces. We're going up. Where are we? 7 by 7. You'll learn this. This is a 7 by 7 square. The king is in it. Too bad he's losing because we're going to jump to 5 and he has to get to the E file and he can't make it. Conversely, 5 by 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, look, our king is already in the square. Push the pawn. If he pushes his pawn, you don't even have to move until he pushes it a second time. We're in the square. We're one extra in the square. Okay, keep pushing. He's not threatened a queen yet. My king only moves when he's threatening the queen. See how easy this is? Now, it is easy, but when you do your work only. Now look at this. Looks like a checkmate to me. Queen f7 check. King d8 only move. Queen d5 check. And if he goes back to e8, queen d7 is mate, so king c7 is forced. At that point, we're now able to play queen d7. Yeah, we're on d5. Queen d7 check. He can play queen b8. Knight checks. I don't know. You gotta be careful about this. This is getting a little loosish. This got to be it. No problem. I'm telling you, check here. Ha. This is the check. Queen c6 is not queen d7. Queen c6 is the check. King b8, knight, checkmates. Okay, so here's what we can do. Man, I'd love to play bishop takes this pawn. You know, threatening this knight, etc. But I can't do that. Rook takes my queen. Or actually, if I played knight, bishop takes pawn, knight takes queen check, even worse. So what we want to do is we want to do something I call removing the liability. Get the queen out of the way of the capture. Also breaks the pin with check. Queen to g6. Queen g5 check loses to queen takes free queen. This is a basic example of the good player or the really good player spotting a mistake. All right, now we've gotten this out of the problem. Now he's hammered by queen g2 check, king e3, rook takes e4 check, and it's not good for him because king d3, rook takes d4 check is an X-ray deflection. King takes rook, queen takes queen check. Now, if you didn't follow that, that means your visualization needs work. So we're going to hit him again. Let's visualize this. Queen g2 check, king e3. That queen we have is now attacking this queen. It's important to know. Rook takes pawn check, guarded by the bishop, so he cannot take it. King to d3. Then we hit him since the queen is attacking his queen. We don't trade queens. We go rook takes pawn check. This is a X-ray. His king is here. Our rook is here. Rook is attacking the king. If he moves the king to the side, we're going to double attack and win the queen. Just take it off the board with rook or queen with check. So he has to capture it, and we're going to win his queen. Queen takes queen check. We're going to give up rook for queen and pawn. It's awesome. This is the X-ray attack. You see how this rook goes through the king. If he moves the king, the rook is attacking the queen. And queen takes free queen. This is the X-ray deflection. It's super powerful. Looks like we win a bishop. Well, you got to be careful because we do have a weak back rank. This is what separates the good from the really good. We have two things we can play. We can play rook takes bishop, or we can play rook takes d8. Rook takes rook. Let's go. Rook takes d8. He plays rook takes rook, and if we take the bishop, rook goes to d1 checkmate. So rook takes d8 Terrible move, double question mark. Don't play it. This is why the very good player, myself, is very good. Rook takes bishop is crushing now, because no matter which way he takes, rook takes e7, we take with check, rook takes on d, takes d5, rook takes rook check. We win a bishop for nothing. Thank you. He's threatening to checkmate me. That's my dad's #1 rule. You can play this. You can literally in your mind go on every move. What's he trying to do to me? In this case, he's trying to checkmate me. Wow, he is trying to take my rook. Problem is, if he takes my rook, I take his queen. So, all right, here again. What's he trying to do to me? He's trying to take my rook. We got that part, right? Well, there's another part of this sometimes. I'm under attack. I can go king f2 or king d1. Which one do you think is the move? 3, 2, 1. The correct answer, king d1. If you go king f2, whoops, knight g4 check and you're in trouble. So now he realizes he can't take this rook because I would take his queen. So what do we have to do? We have to come up with another idea. This is a fairly nasty move. Possibly queen e5 check. We'd love, yes, queen e5 check is awesome. The reason it's awesome is not obvious. And this is something that you'll catch on. You don't have to figure out why this move is awesome. But once you see it, you're going to go, ooh, that was awesome. The reason it's awesome is because, remember back at the very beginning, what's he trying to do to me? Well, that answer is still the same. He's still trying to take my rook. But this move is awesome. Queen e5 check supports the blocking move, f5. What's he trying to do now? He's trying not to find a way to lose because we just took his knight. Sucker. So that was a double attack queen move in a rare situation where you moved it just to support the advance of a pawn, an interference. The f5 move we played was an interference move. So you could write that as an interference problem, or a double attack with the queen move of checking on e5 was a double attack, with the secondary attack being the whatever. Wow, this is, I see 2 checkmates here. Rook g1 is a checkmate. Queen to, okay, no, queen to a1 is not checkmate. He's got king d2. There you go, checkmate. It's a corner mating pattern also. Just not in it's that there's 2 kinds of corner mating patterns, one that's in the corner and one that isn't. That was a not in the corner mating pattern. Okay, what do we do now, Bobby? Well, we got slight problem. We got slight problem here. He's threatening. My dad's, what's he threatening? Pawn takes rook check. I don't like that. Man, look at that. Rook has no good moves at all. Rook b5, bishop takes rook. Rook b4, pawn takes rook. Rook b3, king takes rook. The only move I see that's potentially good is bad. Queen d3 check, queen takes, rook takes, and you're just a piece and 3 pawns down. Well, not 3 pawns. You're a piece down and a pawn down with the crushing endgame that white will easily roll you with. So the thing I'm thinking now here is, do we have a perpetual check idea? It doesn't look like we do, I'm telling you. Oh, brother, what do we do? Because I was thinking queen c3 or rook. Rook. Oh, dude, that's so nasty. Doesn't work. Queen c3 or rook to b2 check followed by queen c3. There is another weirdo possibility, but unfortunately it doesn't really happen. Oh man, what the heck are we doing here? Ah, imbecile. Take your time. That's one of the huge lessons and guideposts that I give you. Take your time. Take your time and realize, look, queen to g2 check. Uh-oh, he's dead. As soon as I see this move, I realize he's dead. Nothing he could do. He gives up the whole house, and queen b2 is checkmate. I thought, man, we were in trouble. That guy took my rook. How disrespectful. Well, what do we have here? Got some nasty moves. Like, well, right off the top of the bat, we have bishop to b5 check, unblockable diagonal. Always something good to notice is an unblockable diagonal. We're down a rook, that means we have to king attack him. King side, we're trying to mating attack this guy. Bishop b5 check, king d8. Let's look at this move. Well, king e7, I'd hit this guy with d6 so fast to make your head spin. Because he couldn't take it. Well, he could take it, I guess. But it gives us a clearance. Think for a second here. We also have, we could play it directly. Can directly play d6, threatening a mate, but he can just castle is the problem. He just plays long castle. King to c8, the castling rook to d8. And then we're starting to look real stupid. So d6 is okay. You could technically sort of play knight b5. I don't like it. I think bishop checks is better. Forces him to a black square, either d8 or e7, which allows us to play, if he plays e7, king e7, then d6 check. He takes it. He's in trouble, dude. So bad, he basically resigns by trading off his queen. Okay. It wasn't obvious. All right, what's he trying to do to me? Well, I think he's just trying to stay alive, really. He doesn't have anything he can do to me. But why does ahead, not winning, he's ahead in material. Sometimes we use the phrase winning when he's ahead. He's ahead. He's not necessarily winning. In fact, the fact that we have this problem tells us he's not winning. He's losing. What I want to do is check this guy by moving this knight and guarding this escape square. If I move, for example, knight to g5 check, king g2, he just runs away. But if I go knight to e1, he cannot escape here. He's got to come forward. The only square available is king h4. So knight e1 check, king h4, knight to g2, doesn't get it. Oh, but king h4, and then what? Bobby Fischer? That's a good question. Knight. Well, there might be a better move. I don't know. What if we do that? It doesn't really do anything. So knight. Oh, he could push the pawn forward, but I don't think it helps him. Knight e1 check. Pawn goes forward, rook takes pawn check. King h4 once again, it doesn't really matter. King h4, we don't have knight to, oh yes we do. We have knight to g2 check, rook takes knight, g5 check, pawn, rook takes pawn, pawn takes rook on g5 check, king h5, rook to h3 checkmate. So this is look at this. 1, 2, 3, knight check. 4, he captures the knight. 5, check. 6, he takes it. 7, check. 8, king a5, 9. This is a 9 mover. All right, a visualization. Okay, He makes it an 11 because he adds 2 moves, this one and the rook takes. These didn't really matter. This becomes an 11 mover. I said here to here and to here. So that was an 11 move visualization. Really 9 moves that counted. The other 2 didn't matter if you played those or not, the result was the same. So you want to say, if you saw the whole thing through of the 11 moves, awesome. If you saw the 9 move that I saw, that's also awesome. It's tomato and tomato. You can't go wrong. But if you've got all 11 or 9 moves, that was awesome. That means you're probably a really good player, or you're very close to being one already. Rook takes is my gut reaction. This is a destruction sacrifice. Oh, that last one, what would you call that? That was what's known, they call that king hunt or mating attack. Whichever one like floats your boat. With the beautiful knight g2 sacrifice, that was really awesome. Okay, this is destruction sacrifice. Rook takes g6, pawn takes, rook takes g6 check again. King goes to like, h7. We're do anything. f5, we could play that, which is okay. But I don't see that we're really doing anything special. Oh, we could play f5. The point of f5 would be to blockade his queen from escaping. This also, f5 allows us to play the idea of rook h3 double attacking h6. So the destruction sacrifice looks to be premature. King h7 just looks completely winning. And then f5 at this point is nothing. He's got king on h7, rook takes, pawn takes, rook takes, king h7, f5 to defend the rook and open up this attack, and it's already double attack. I don't think it's good. f5, he cannot take it. He can play bishop takes, we play pawn takes. That we're winning a piece. See, now is the crusher of rook h3 because his queen can't defend h6. Probably the best move, to be honest. Okay, look at this king. He's in trouble. This king is semi-trapped. He's not 100% trapped, but he's semi-trapped. We got to be very careful, though. Don't get stupid. All right. So the gut reaction here, we've seen he's semi-trapped. Let's try to checkmate him. Let's check him. The brute force technique says the most obvious move, f5 check, king to e3. And what are we doing, Bobby Fischer? Not looking too great, is it? So we need to prepare this move. Perhaps we can prepare this move with rook to e2 check. Notice the knight guards the diagonal flight squares. The bishop guards here and here. He's stuck to only playing king d4. But we have a move for that. We have literally bishop to e5. Isn't that checkmate? Rook e2 check. We guard f4 and f5. The rook guards the e file. The knight guards d3 and d5. King d4. He's got no moves. We bishop check him. He's toast. This is another king hunt, mating net, whatever you want to call it. This is checkmate. Just wanted you guys to see it. This is the classic clearance sacrifice. We're going to clear the diagonal, which is actually the square on the diagonal of the queen and the bishop. So knight f3 check, queen takes free knight, checkmate. Pawn takes free knight, checkmate. It doesn't matter. King goes to the corner, checkmate. There's 3 replies, all of them end in the same answer. Checkmate. Queen h2, just want to show it to you visually. Checkmate. This is what I saw instantly in visualization. Again, it's not about how fast you do it, just do it. At your own speed. What did he take? Took a bishop. Idiot. Man, this is going to set him up for a windmill and then some. Rook g3 check. Forces him to the corner. Bishop g7 check. King g8. These are all forced moves. He's got no choice. Bishop takes f6 check. Wait a second. We're going to do that. Bishop f6 check. Dangerous. Check. Yeah, we can go bishop. We cannot lose and perpetually check him for sure by bishop g7 and bishop h6 check. But bishop f6 check, we win the queen, and then we're sort of still winning. Well, not really. We're a piece down. That's terrible. Ruining my windmill. Check. The answer is check, 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 crud. Let me think. Bishop checks, I'm telling you, is not good. Bishop takes f6 does not work. I wish that it did. It only works if there's a rook there. That was one of the very rare perpetual check. You're saving the draw against a much stronger player who played great, and you know we snuck one out, as they say. Okay, now this is where you start seeing the difficult king and pawn endgames. Two things that can happen. All right, we can either take the g3 pawn. I'm sorry. We're white, not black, idiot. Okay, rewind. Well, there's two things we can do. We can either move our king away from this guy, letting his king move, or we can maintain the bind by playing king f4, forcing him to play a5. The point being there is that we take this queen and checkmate this guy on d8. Let's count it. So if we play king f4, black has only one legal move, a5. We take it, he'd go b4. You don't take it, it's a draw. We push, a6. He goes b3, a7, b2, a8, queen. He can queen. Queen to d8 is checkmate. You lose, buddy. Do not take the pawn. The difference between the good and the very good is the very good player sees this as a draw faster than the good player. The good player should see this as a draw, but the very good player sees it's a draw way in advance. He goes, a6, you lose. Ah, very interesting. Doesn't matter. There's another move. The very good player sees queen takes free queen. That is also a draw. We want to checkmate him. So there was a couple of moves you had to see to win that game. Winning in chess is difficult. Gee, tell you something you don't already know? Now, this is interesting. We have an easy combination to see. Bishop to g3 check, king to g1. Now the question is, do we win the rook by bishop h2, king takes h2, rook takes rook? That doesn't look good. That doesn't look good at all. Bishop g3 check, which forces the king back, is good. Let's go bishop g3 check, king g1, defending the rook. Rook takes rook check, king takes rook. Ah, corner mating pattern. Except that our knight is blocking it, so we go knight. Awesome move. Right? Knight checks, knight takes knight, rook to e1, checkmate. So this is 1, 2, 3, trade rooks, 4, 5, checks, 6, recaptures, 7 is a checkmate. Beautiful. This is a clearance of the file for the rook. Check, sacrifice. Absolutely brilliant. Corner mating pattern, but not in the corner. Okay. Okay, what you see here, you've heard of some of these things. Bishops of opposite colors. So we are in a bishops of opposite colors end game. You know, it's kind of in between the end of the middle game and the beginning of the end game. But one of the features of the middle game bishops of opposite colors is that you tend to have king attacks where one side is strong on one color, the other is strong on the other color. But what happens is that the guy who's got the initiative of the attack, which is us, because we have c7, a clearance move for bishop to c6 or queen to b5. We get more attackers, I believe. This rook on the h8, he is there as an ornament. He's doing nothing. So, but he is helping threaten h2, so you can't get crazy. Don't get stupid. This guy is developed from an attacking perspective, but only if we make a mistake. This guy has the ability to move with check. This other rook on h8 does not. So white has, my gut feeling is white has an advantage. I'm not Stockfish. I can't figure this out the way it does. As a human master, you have to train yourself to learn truths are true, and we piece them together. And it looks to me like c7 is a nasty move, threatening to take his rook, so he's got to defend it. And like I said, that opens up queen to b5 check, or possibly, bishop to c6 at some point. We'd really like to lay a dark squared check on this guy, but hey, sometimes you can do it, sometimes you can't. What if we go c7? He's got to move. The most natural move, oh man, it's nasty for him, is to block the pawn with rook c8. It doesn't, well, I mean, everything else is worse, right? b8's impossible. That's pawn takes free rook. a8 is rook takes free rook check. So literally, he could go forward, allowing me to queen. That's dumb. Or he can go rook c8. So c7, rook c8. Basically, while it's not legally forced, it's a forced move as far as not losing. It's the only move he has that doesn't lose is rook c8. All right, we've established that. Well, why don't we just say, well, if your rook is transfixed on c8, why don't we just go bishop b7 and just, stick a pin in him and see what he does? He should probably castle and just lose the exchange. Bishop takes, rook takes. And then, we have, or c7, rook c8, queen b5 check, breaks up the castling. And then we can hit him, king f8, queen to d7. Oh man, what a nasty move that is, right? Bishop check. Well, what's he trying to do to me? If I go here, if you don't know the answer, you need to think about it. I'm not gonna tell you the answer. That one's obvious. So you have two choices. Really, it's king f1 or king h1. Now we're safe on light color squares in general. However, if we go to the corner, he's got g3. I don't think it's that great, but it's scary. King f1 is not scary, but he's got queen f3, which is scary. Yeah, king g3. I mean, g3 itself is scary, but you can't ever play. If he plays g takes h2, that becomes a perfect defense for you. You don't worry about it. I think king h1 is the move, because once again, this rook is defending. So king h1, if he plays g3, what's he going to do? Queen checks? Oh, heck, actually, he could do that. Queen checks, that jerk. g3 threatens to play queen checks, rook takes. Rook takes is checkmate. Oh, it's not. He's not on. Yeah, he got a g-pawn there. With the g-pawn there, he's threatening a checkmate. I'd have to defend the checkmate somehow. God, this guy's a freak. But I think king f1, queen h3 check, Bishop G2. Queen takes here. He's threatening to check me again. You see how tough this is? Man, my spidey senses tell me that Queen H3 is a nasty check that I don't like, even though I have Bishop G2. I could play Rook to G2, but he's going to pile G3 right there, I'm telling you. So this is what I see. King F1, Queen H3 check, Rook G2, no good, G3. Well, you can't, you gotta take this, gotta take with check, man. I'm going to take his rook with check. So, King F1, King H1, G3, I take this, he can't do that. You gotta go to C8 at some point. I think this is the right move. My spidey senses did not let me down. I think, again, we need to queen check him because he just doesn't have anything. He's got no good response to Queen D7. He can't, well, he can stop it. Queen checks, crud. King E7 stops Queen D7. Yeah, maybe it does and maybe it doesn't. What about this check here? Oh, man. Oh, we also do have, instead of checking him, King E7 connects the rooks. I don't like it. We cannot play Rook to A8 because of checkmate. Man, what a jerk. Chess is hard, bro. But we break this down bit by bit. So far, we've defended the king. We have ideas of F6. The number one idea of playing F6 is that it can break the connection. My queen takes F6, he can't take here. Pawn takes, now he's interfered with the defense. Bishop to there is a possibility. Oh, this check is devastating, potentially. King E7 doesn't work because queen takes E5 check. That's an ouchie and a half. That is an ouchie and a half. Oh, dude, there's another nasty move. No, that's no good. Thought about Queen A6. Queen takes, Rook takes, but he plays. He can't take that pawn. Still don't like it. I think the right move is Queen B5 check, King F8, Queen D7, or King E5, King E7, Queen takes E5. Man, that was a toughie. Now, hopefully you saw something there that will lend even extra credence to the statement, I've won a lot of chess tournaments, and that's how you win chess tournaments right there. That problem separates the good players from the really good players. A lot of room to make mistakes. So I was able to navigate against those. Good grief, Charlie Brown. What is this? That last problem was 2386, so this one's over 2400. Oh, what a jerk. Well, what can we do? What can we not do is the question. Oh, man, what the heck? So here's the number one thing that comes to mind. F6. He can't take it. Rook takes check. It's just nasty. King E7. We're going to try and box mate him with queen to F8. Yeah, the bishop is devastating. F6 is a killer. It opens up this bishop's control of this diagonal. F6 threatens this nasty check, which threatens, oh man, F6 is the move. What's he trying to do? Well, the only check he's got is queen takes B2, and then after you take this, it's over. So his queen sacrifice was no good. It's just a spite check. Bishop takes is no good. Once again, we'd have queen takes. Got to be F6. He can't afford to take this, and really, he can't afford not to take it. I don't know. You tell me. Yeah, well, good luck with that. Again, what check do you have to back this up, sir? Just look at this for a second. I'm going to hold this here. In tournaments, this is not legal. You'd have to take it if you touch the pawn. But for purposes of instruction, this is quite legal. We're going to use this to I'm trying to help you guys visualize it yourself better. Okay, this is the move we're looking at. What does he have? Oh, he's got that jerk. Queen takes d4 check. That's what he's got, okay? I'm going to be honest, I missed that possibility. And in tournament, I would have taken longer to play f6 because you see why. Here, I'm not trying to really grind it out with a 15-minute every problem. That's retarded. So let's just go and say, you know, as my father would say, rook takes pawn check, so what? That's one of his phrases. He's like, well, he goes, well, if I take this rook, he's going to check me. And my father was smart enough to know that he was not a gifted calculator of defensive mating attacks. And to be honest, I don't want to calculate against this queen takes d4. You're asking for trouble. So my father's response is, well, you know, instead of letting him check me and try to checkmate me, I can't see an answer. So what? So my dad invents these ideas ahead of his ability. My father was only, you know, he maxed out. He almost made it to 1600. So my dad was a good player. But, you know, he was a 1500 plus player for a long time, actually, once we got into tournaments. I'm just taking this. And to quote my father once again, so what? So you know, I don't really remember doing that in one of my videos, but my dad had the answer, so what? Okay, so we have survived a god-awful 46 problems without a loss. My record is like 54, just letting you know. Man, 50 is fine. I'm like, that's really great. You know, I don't care if I get 50 right, I'll publish it. I don't care if I make a mistake in the 35 or 25 or whatever. But I'm shooting for 50 every time if I can get it. Okay, so, man, that last one was just king safety. You know, visualization. We just visualized all the ways we could lose and just, I see this loss, sidestep, well, it's not going to lose this way. My first gut reaction here, rook takes bishop. Because the bishop is the prime defender of this knight. Rook takes bishop, pawn takes, and then knight takes knight check. And as my father would say, what are you going to do now, Bobby Fischer? Rook takes bishop, pawn takes knight check, pawn takes knight, bishop takes pawn, and I'm going to take your rook or your queen, Bobby Fischer. You know, I was born in 1961, and I don't know when my dad learned to play chess. Obviously, it was before, you know, before he taught me, but it could have been before I was born. You know, he might have learned to play and then started liking the game later. You know, Bobby Fischer was the buzz. Bobby Fischer was the Tiger Woods of chess. Okay, in America, he was literally the Tiger Woods of chess. You would have mentions of Bobby Fischer tournament successes on TV. So my father, my father loved the chess of Bobby Fischer because who wouldn't? So he was his favorite player. So that's where my father comes up with what are you going to do now, Bobby Fischer? Just like saying, hey, what are you going to do now, Einstein? I mean, because you all guys should all know Albert Einstein was, you know, one of the greatest physicists of all time. So, Yes, my inner Bobby Fischer says rook takes bishop. And goodbye, Charlie. Whatever. You're going to take that pawn? You know what my father would say to that? So what? You guys have learned that's what my father would say. So what? Well, let's see. What is this guy doing? I feel we've sacrificed something. We have not? Dude, we're just winning this. Look at this. 2, 4, 6 pawns. We got 5. We've sacrificed a pawn for this position. That seems pretty good to me. We have interesting. Now here's a couple of ideas that come up. Number one, let's look at the brute force technique. Says rook to e8 check, the most obvious move. King h7, queen to c2 check. Could go to d3 also, but trust me, queen c2 check is the move that's coming into mind. Then you could play g6. Well, I don't like that. Although that still works. That is the best move actually. The brute force technique shows us this is the best move. Rook checks, because the king moves here where rook is attacking the rook. So we go queen c2 check. We're now hitting his bishop. This bishop is now double attacked by the rook on e8 and the queen on c2. He goes g6, that's fine. Now we get a couple of moves we could play. We could play rook takes rook check, king takes, queen takes bishop check. And so we've won a bishop for nothing with check, and the attack has not ended yet. Or we could go rook check, king h7, queen c2 check, g6. We could play queen takes c8. Tomato, tomato. He could just play then rook takes, queen takes, and now we're not taking with check. I'm thinking taking with check is the better move. I was thinking that maybe we could play queen to c2 hitting the bishop, but then he could play like bishop to e6 and dodge the upcoming rook check. So we cannot let him block with bishop e6. Turns out I was right. Bad, it just resigned. That's how you know your moves are awesome. All right. My inner Bobby Fischer says pawn takes bishop check with a queen, obviously. Could be a rook, doesn't matter. But the mistake of this position is this. Pawn takes rook equals queen. Rook d8 checkmate. So we have done what I said before. We are even in material. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pawn takes bishop check. King would take. Or rook takes. It doesn't matter. We hit this guy with bishop to h3. Or do we? That is actually a very good question. There's another move we could play here. Takes, rook takes. I don't think that's the right move. Interesting. I don't know. The other one now. The bishop check is no good. We have to defend. Oh, no. Pawn takes is the mistake. The big mistake. Pawn takes rook, loses. Pawn takes not bishop is also a mistake, but it's a mistake differently. The correct move is bishop to h3, defending against the mate, reinforcing the pawn. He can't take it because of bishop takes, and then bishop's going to take this pawn. That's the problem we have, is he's got this crushing pawn takes pawn, and my rook is in trouble. Here, if we go here, he can't do pawn takes pawn because pawn takes rook queen defends the rook. He can take the rook, fine, but that's it. Man, this is nasty. Bishop to h3, is that the right move? I think it is. Well, let's look at this again. Bishop to h3. Pawn takes pawn. Pawn captures rook equals queen. He can queen here, which I don't like. We would just take this. Yeah, that's terrible for him. I take the rook. He can take my rook. I go back. And, oh, that loses, actually. I cannot take the rook. I must take the pawn. Yes, I've won a piece here. So bishop takes pawn is the move that stops checkmate. If I take the rook, he takes the rook with check. I take it, and he checkmates me again, that jerk. What's he trying to do to me? That problem explains the whole thing right there. That was a defense that was defending against the passed pawn. Well, what is this? Checkmate. This is a corner mating pattern. What is or what is this? Queen to here is checkmate. Queen to here is checkmate. What is the deal? I don't get this, man. What is this? Oh, check. Now I'm going to say, man, because this is just stupid. All right, got a couple of moves. King g5, no good. Queen h5 ends the checkmate. We take, he goes there. It's no more checkmate. Yeah, basically there's no more checkmate. We have g4. Clever. g4, rook takes, pawn takes, queen to h1, king to here. Trade, we just lose the piece. Whatever, dude. King can't take. Obvious move. He's got no dark squared. Well, he's got a dark squared attacker. But I just play bishop takes. Right? Looks like a winner to me. Sometimes it's just about dodging the mistake. Looks pretty easy, too. Oh, brother, you made a mistake. Well, did you? Can't do this. Knight takes e5 is not the move. Actually, it might be. Knight g5, even better. The idea is knight takes e5. The problem with this move is that, well, if he plays queen takes queen, hoping for you to play rook takes queen, with knight on e5, bishop to f7 is checkmate. Problem is, he doesn't have to play that. His queen is undefended. Actually, knight takes e5 is good. If he plays knight takes knight, queen takes free queen. So knight takes e5 looks like a winner. Queen takes bishop. That I don't like. Oh yeah, knight takes e5. Queen takes bishop. Bishop takes pawn. Check. Oh. Well, I thought the idea might be bishop takes pawn check, but he's got queen takes bishop. That's a good question. We also have, what's this, 20, it's going to be about a 2,700 problem. Man, I'm telling you, but 50-0 is awesome, isn't it? If I was weak, I'd quit now and just post this as a perfect score. But we play till we lose. What about G? No, G4 doesn't work. Bishop takes, queen takes, no good. Knight takes e5, queen takes here, and then knight takes f7 is like, so what? That's another so what. Not gaining anything. Knight takes knight. Another so what. Man. Yeah, bishop takes, king takes, knight takes, check, wins the queen, but that's not happening. Knight g5 is not a checkmate. Queen takes my queen. Bishop takes check. He goes there. And I don't have, and if I go knight takes e5, he's got queen takes, but knight takes g5, queen takes bishop. Again, check doesn't do diddly squat. So, what in the holy heck are we supposed to do? I don't know, man, you're killing me. Queen to b3. You could just play bishop to e6. That would be, well, queen to b3. You know, he's attacked. We've attacked f7 once. He's got two defenders, but they're the two most expensive. So queen to b3 threatens nastiness. Almost. I mean, it's like, okay, so what? Again, so what? So queen b3 does nothing. Queen a4 pins this, and again, so what? I don't know. Missing something. I really would prefer this knight to be on c3 versus this pawn, but whatever. Ah, man, I just think that there's a discovery here. This knight e5 idea is super strong. Knight takes e5, queen takes e5, no good for us. Yeah, just queen takes e5 is terrible for us. Knight g5. Yeah, knight g5, queen takes bishop. Knight takes f7, bishop takes f7, check. But I don't like him playing king e7, attacking my bishop, and this knight is already attacked by a pawn. It just walks into a double attack. Knight g5, queen takes free bishop. But that's what it is. Knight takes f7. We're on his rook. Okay. What are we also doing? Sort of threatening a queen f3. Toughie. Passive bishop g3. I can't recommend that. Dude, what if we play? We play g4. He plays bishop takes g4. That's terrible. Yeah. What am I missing here? Bishop takes f7. I'm telling you, king takes f7. That doesn't work. You still take this. What a freak. Just when you think you're good, you get this problem, and it's like, man, I suck. Okay. You know, Tiger Woods makes it look a lot easier than it is, and so did Bobby Fischer. What would Bobby Fischer do? He'd attack. Bobby would attack this guy. How do we attack him? Knight d4 is not really an attack. Man, this is bogus. I mean bogus. d4, pawn takes, pawn takes. If he played knight takes, didn't really do anything either. Knight a3 and knight b5 is super slow. Knight a3, a6 stops that, so let's forget that garbage. His king is in the center. We need to open the position up if we can. I just don't see it. Knight takes, queen takes, I'm telling you. Although technically you might be able to get f4 and etc. But you're really, hey, it's a good question. Yeah, the move I thought that crushes this primarily is queen takes, but knight e5, queen takes f4, and Bobby Fischer, where are you going now? He has no moves. That queen can't move. Queen cannot take e5. So this is analyzing it further. Knight e5, queen e5, f4. He's got nothing. That's what this pawn is for. It prevents queen d4 check. So he can't take that. He can take this bishop though, which gives us a different problem. Or let's just take on f7 is what it does. And again, knight e5. If he takes my queen, that's checkmate. Exactly correct. He could not take the knight. I was afraid of queen takes e5 until I really analyzed it. Now again, notice how his queen is kind of trapped. Let's just see if we can do something here like f4. Nah, he's going to go back. Bishop checks. Is that the right move? Or bishop checks. King can go to, say, here, or e7 actually. Oh, e7 loses his queen. So bishop checks, e7 loses the queen. Bishop checks, king d8. I can fork him. My inner Bobby Fischer comes through once again. So that was a knight fork. The ultimate ending tactic there was a knight fork. But we had to analyze the move that he could not play, which was queen takes e5, because we had a vicious response. Okay, makes you feel better. Well, look at the obvious move. Queen e6 check. King h8 is forced. He cannot play interpose. We just take it. Oh, dude, you're in trouble. This sets him up for a potential 1, 2, 3. Check, king h8. Knight checks, pawn takes is forced, followed by pawn takes there is forced, rook to f4, threatening a checkmate here. Or actually, rook f3. Queen e6 check, king h8, knight, not knight f7. He would just take it, and he'd be surviving. He would just take this, sacrifice the exchange back. You're on f7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3, 4. He's a pawn up, and you've thrown your attack away. So queen checks, king h8, knight g6 check, pawn takes force or its mate, and now we're going to put the rook on h3 because our queen shields it from a queen attack. Yep, this is it. Side rank checkmate. Now, rook f4 is another move, but he can just play g5. So let's go rook f3, threatening this checkmate. There's nothing he could do. And that is correct. He's got no checks. That is not check, but that's okay. We'll take this. And then we're going to threaten to checkmate him, and he'll lose his queen for a rook. That's the best he could do. Well, Bobby Fischer Jr., what are you doing? Well, it doesn't take Bobby Fischer to see that if we take this bishop or knight, rook takes queen. Unless we got something better. We do have kind of an awesome move, potentially. The move to me is either queen f5. I don't like parts of this because knight d4 or knight h4 attacks my queen. So queen to d5. We're double defending this. It's double attacked. queen d5. If he takes it, we just take it with the knight. If we go queen d5, bishop takes pawn, knight takes bishop, queen takes queen, pawn takes queen. We're still defending this again against rook takes. So if we go here, he could play c4. We would just take this with the pawn. The point about the queen cannot be assaulted by the knight here. If I go queen here, he's got knight d4 or knight h4. We just take it. But take it. Okay, now what? Oh, man. Well, we have a couple of ideas. One, queen c6 doesn't work because he just takes the knight with the rook. But it's threatening to checkmate him. So we could play, let's try the knight b4 check. King b7, only move. That means we're winning probably. Queen d7, check. Only move. King to b8, knight c6, he's toast, right? Knight checks. King b7, only move. Queen d7 check. King b8, knight c6, he's done. This one looks easy because of my experience. There's a red herring stuff to look at that I didn't look at because, well, I know. Hey, I tied my record, 54 in a row. Isn't that awesome? Okay, now this is one of those deals where he can get checkmated because he's got pieces scrunched together. The non-obvious move here is like queen to e5 check, giving the knight away. If we look at queen e5 check, king takes knight, then we play the awesome unblockable diagonal move of queen e6 check. And now look at his king. He's a bishop and pawns up, but he's got no good squares. All he can do, he can't even move his king to any square except h5, and then I hit him with queen h3. Bishop comes in here, the awkward defender, sacrifices himself for queen to h4 checkmate. So this is one of those things where once you've mastered the concept of unblockable diagonal, you see moves like this go, I dare you to take that knight, buddy. I think this is where my experience crushes. Okay, now this looks like we're winning. This is materially basically even. Yeah, it's exactly even. But we win this by, this is what I call a simplification combination. Easy stuff. We're going to win material after we clean the house. Queen takes queen. He's got to take it back, and I don't care how he takes it. Bishop takes or knight takes it. We're going to hit him. We're just removing liability. Bishop is attacking our knight. Don't make the mistake of queen takes bishop. He'll take the rook. Take the queen. He recaptures it. Take the rook. He recaptures it. Bishop takes b7, and we eat this rook. And I don't care what he's doing. So queen takes queen. If he plays knight takes, rook is check. Bishop takes rook. Bishop takes b7, you lose. It's just we're going to win at the very least in exchange. It's not a whole rook. Rook takes rook. Bishop takes rook. Queen takes queen. Bishop takes queen. Rook takes rook. Oh. He might be better off like queen takes queen. Knight takes queen. No, that rook check is a killer. He can't even play knight takes bishop. Whatever. Goodbye. Thank you. That was a really easy problem. Okay. Look, it's awesome. Well, is it? Bishop takes knight. Bishop, I think it's bishop takes knight. We're going to take on here. Because if we go knight takes knight, he just plays queen takes. Or yeah, he just plays rook takes, sorry. Plays rook takes. Because now knight checks, doesn't do anything. He just plays bishop takes. His queen defends his bishop. So we cannot make his queen lose contact with the bishop defense for this. So instead of knight takes knight, bishop takes knight, we're threatening to move this with discovered check. Like knight c7 discovered check would be nasty. Or knight c5 as well. So bishop takes knight, bishop takes bishop, knight takes. Well, he could play rook takes. Karudzilla. What a jerk. Let's go. Well, let's try knight takes again. Knight takes. Yeah, he's got rook takes, right? Bishop takes, bishop takes. We can play knight takes bishop first. Because we're on his rook. Knight takes bishop. This is a desperado. So you can write that down. Knight takes bishop. Knight takes my c3 knight, attacking my queen. Very clever move. But bishop takes this knight on c3. And now he can play just king takes bishop. But that's okay. We have a double attack here. So in this line, knight captures bishop. Knight takes knight, bishop takes knight on c3, king takes, oh, no, I'm sorry, we do have that, but knight takes bishop, yeah, knight takes my knight, bishop takes knight, king takes, we can play bishop takes, he's got queen takes if we want, and then we could take this pawn, but that's not really a big deal. Yeah, knight takes bishop might not be the right move. Or it might be. What about knight takes knight? He can play rook takes knight. That's the correct move. Queen takes is a mistake because we have a knight fork. Bishop takes is a mistake because we have a bishop takes on the rook. So, knight takes knight, rook takes knight is the right move. Do we have a move here that's any good? Well, nothing I think that really threatens him. Knight takes knight, rook takes knight. We don't have a discovered attack that wins against the bishop because the queen is on the bishop. Bishop takes knight, bishop takes bishop, I think is the right move. Oh, well, okay, bishop takes knight, bishop takes bishop. Knight takes g7. So bishop takes d5. Bishop takes d5. So I take a knight, he takes the bishop. This is the best way to calculate it, not d5. You don't want to calculate this in your mind as bishop takes d5, bishop takes d5. I'm going to tell you why. But first, let's count it out. Bishop takes knight. Bishop takes bishop. Knight takes bishop on g7. And now he's got a problem. Notice that his d5 bishop has no capturing opportunity, but it's liable to be captured by that c3 knight. So if he takes the knight, king or queen takes the knight on g7, knight takes free bishop and we're winning. So let's again look at this dude. Bishop takes knight. If he plays rook takes, we just take and we win in exchange for nothing. All right, no problem. I'm doing it. I'm telling you, I've already counted it. Oh, it said no. Really? Well, what is he doing? It just loses. Stupid. What, don't you know about this? Okay. What are you doing? I don't know. He was never threatening us. The only way that problem was a difficult problem was that you had to recognize the optical illusion fact. But I knew where I was going. Oh, look at this freak. Do you believe this jerk? Attacking my queen. Got a lot of nerve, dude. A lot of nerve. What about knight takes bishop check? All right, this is really clever. Queen takes bishop c3, and then I'm going to play d4. Translation, I hope this is working. The other idea, I don't have anything better than that idea. Rook takes g2, I don't think that works, because I don't have a rook check over here. So I'm thinking knight takes bishop, knight captures bishop, queen takes is forced, bishop c3, and whenever I do this, he attacks me, say queen to c2, double lining up against my king. d4 defending, the only move that defends. He's got knight takes pawn, which is okay, I guess. Queen takes knight, queen takes, rook takes, bishop check, and I would just go there. I think that's fine. Queen takes is pretty awesome. Almost. Queen takes is almost awesome. c3, knight takes, oh, yeah, I can do this. d4, if he plays knight takes, queen takes. And it doesn't matter. He can play rook takes, I just go sidestep, king b8. He takes my queen, I play rook takes, he can have the bishop. 2, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But we're a piece up is the key. This is a simplification combination. We're just trying to make him trade pieces off and eliminate his own attack just to break even. And we have a piece ahead. And that is correct. Okay, Mr. Fischer. Doesn't this just win for me? Okay, I said it before, I'll say it again. Piece endgame. You win it by piece power or by making a winning pawn, king and pawn endgame. The winning king and pawn endgame for white would be due to this pawn here. I can go bishop takes, pawn takes, and then I can play king takes. If he wants to go d4, king d4, g4, king takes pawn, g5, king takes the other pawn, g6, and now c4, g7, c3, queen. He's short. He gets to c2 and he'll never pass that. I'll play queen back to defend that. Or bishop takes, pawn takes. I could play g4 now. He could choose to play because he didn't have the access to d4. If he plays f2, I take, again, king d4. Or he could go king d4, that's g5, king takes c4, g6, king takes, well, let's say, king takes b5, g7, he's worse. Bishop takes, pawn takes, g4, king to f6. If the basic premise behind the outside pass pawn, which is what this g pawn would be, is that bishop takes, pawn takes, g4, and now if he goes king f6, we win this by taking his pawn. He can go to g5, and we don't care. We just go king e3. He takes it. King e4. We're going to eat this pawn and queen our pawn. The outside pass pawn is an absolute easy win. So the question is, does this computer think king takes f3 is the winning move, which it is, or is g4 the shorter winning move? Probably it isn't. I got to count them. 1, if he goes here, I just take it. And that's longer to win. So let's just say I'll take this on f3. That's 1. d4, king d4, 2. g4, I'm counting this 3. King c4, 4. g5, 5. King b5, 6. g6, 7. c4, 8, g7, 9, c3, 10, queen is 11. He can play c2, but I just take it. Oh, I'm sorry, don't take it. I will move to stop this with queen checks on b3, and that wins. This is an absolute win. Okay. Whatever, dude. Wow, look at this move. Rook d8. I mean, rook d1 check. You can't take it. If he takes it, it's checkmate. I don't know. It seems pretty obvious, doesn't it? You can't take that, dude. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. He can't take it. I'm not saying that, you know, rook there. Okay. Rook d1, king g2, rook takes, king takes, queen b1 check. King g2, queen takes, e4 check. I'm just threatening to do something evil at this point, and then see if I have a winning king and pawn endgame with queen g6 check, something to that effect. No, we're here. No, we cannot stop that. Well, we don't have to. We can play there. Well, I don't know. This is working great. Bam, 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 bam. Queen e4 check. He could play either king is on g2, queen takes e4 check. Oh, it wins a bishop is what it does. It just wins a bishop. You lose, buddy. So queen takes e4 check, king to f1. That is a check. King to g1. Erg. Check. King to f1 is what he should do. Check him. King to g1. I don't know. Trying to figure. Queen takes there is not bad. But you're going to take my h-pawn. Check. He goes here. Ding, ding, Chekaruski. Chekaruski. He could play king to f3. I mean, bishop to f3, that freak. He could play bishop to f3, that freak. But I could chop this guy. Man, trying to win a bishop's of opposite colored endgame here is not going to be easy. So, erg. The rook d1 is a super clever move. But does it do anything is the question. Kablamo. Kablamo. King g2. Brum, brum, brum. I don't know, man. Other than rook to d1 check is to me so obvious, I can't even conceive of another move. I'm playing it win, lose, or draw. Well, having said A, you say B back. No? Oh, take the bishop, idiot. Oh, well. 58. That's a new record. I forgot about that. I beat 3,000s and screwed this up. I had this one beat. Queen takes bishop, stupid. Look. I'll show it to you. It's like, well, when you get 60 problems plus deep, you see the problem. All right, that was awesome, though. Clever and awesome move. Idiot, take the bishop. I'm sure some of you guys are saying, take the bishop, come on. Oh, well, sometimes you don't see the forest for the trees. I missed the tree. Okay, my bad. This is another cheap shot and the problem on this king and pawn endgame. He takes. Oh, he's in the square of the pawn. King to e4, idiot. I forgot my. Oh, look at the square. King to e4, he's done. over the board in a tournament, I would have put more effort and probably seen this. I got lazy. When you're 60 problems deep, I'm not going to say I got tired. I got lazy. It's not a tiredness. This is a laziness. So another thing you have to do to become a really, really strong player, you have to know that chess is a game of mistakes, and you have to admit that you made the mistake and understand mentally how to correct it, which I have done. That's awesome. Now let's find out what this one is. So, oh man, this is a long dude. So, we did bishop takes d. Yeah, he played this. We played bishop takes d5. No, it was knight takes g7. Okay, yeah, I take that. Now, oh, I saw this position and I'm going to take my queen. Idiot. I stopped one move too short, not realizing I'd take his queen. That's another type of mistake. Let's go back and I'll show you. I saw this 1, 2. I got to position 3 and didn't look. That 5, that's 4, capturing my queen. That 5 is knight forks his. Idiot. My bad. That's a legitimate mistake that I made on my own calculations. And the correct move for here, white here, is bishop takes bishop. We take the knight. Now he's in bad shape. He's going to have to take the bishop. Right? So, yeah, I do this. He has to play bishop takes bishop. Otherwise, he's going to get destroyed by bishop b7. So he takes the bishop, which is all good. His bishop can't do anything. We'll play knight takes knight, and this knight is hanging in the balance. So right now, he's a rook down, and it's going to get worse. Were we winning? No. Yeah, my mistake, dude. But, okay. Now, again, the 3 problems in which I made mistakes. This one was a failure to look at this position and realize it's winning for white. This is called cutting your analysis too short. And this happens to grandmasters. This happens to every player, no matter what level you are. It's just a matter of the frequency and the depth. This was only 5, so I feel lame. But this is a common mistake, and I work on this trying to overcome it, and I overcame it in one of the previous problems, which I mentioned. So, great problem. I saw the winning solution at some point, but played the wrong one. So, idiot. Okay, but here's the important thing. Chess is a game of mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. That doesn't make you bad. That makes you normal. That makes you a human player. It's the great moves you play and understanding. Look at all these 58 problems. You look back at that, and you're going to go, wow, dude, that was some awesome chess. Okay? Now, the best guy I've ever seen doing this is Hikaru. Geez, he made like 83. And as soon as he missed the last one, he was like, oh! It was like me when I said queen takes bishop. So for some reason in chess, you know the right move. As soon as you make the wrong one, it's like, oh, idiot. So it's okay, no problem. Don't worry about it. It's not, everyone's going to make mistakes. The people you have to worry about are the people who do cover up their mistakes, trying to make themselves look perfect. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. Kasparov wasn't perfect. Magnus isn't perfect. All those other guys, great players, okay? Those MVL, great player. Hikaru, great player. These are great players. Wesley So, another tremendous player. All these guys are great players. They make mistakes. Everyone does. So what? It's like riding a bicycle. You've fallen down off the bike. Everyone has. No person has not fallen from a bike if they've ridden a bike. You're going to fall down. Primarily through the learning process. That's just part of the learning. You're going to make mistakes. Don't worry about it. Look at these problems and go, wow, these were awesome. I made 3 mistakes, but instantly figured out what I should have done And these represent an opportunity to correct an error in thinking. And these mistakes show up few and far between, as you can see. I mean, I did 61 problems and got 58 of them absolutely correct. And I was on the other 3, oops. Those were all oops problems, okay? If you gave partial credit, I'm getting half credit or more on each one of those, but it's fine. It's a win or lose, and that's the reality, and that's fine. Do not worry about it. So look at every problem as a chance for you to show how much you've learned. The green ones show how much I have learned playing chess. The red ones showed me an opportunity that I could learn even more. So how could you not be happy? Ask yourself, would you be happy with 58? And you're going to go, are you kidding? That's awesome. It's awesome. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. I will see you in the next one.